is going on, my fellow movie nerds and geeks alike? Today, I just wanted to share with you what Vicky and I will be watching on Thanksgiving.
Gobble gobble, motherfucker!
And unlike other holidays like Christmas or Halloween, where I tend to watch, a bunch of movies leading up to the holiday, on Thanksgiving, we actually watch all of these movies on Thanksgiving Day. Our families are kind of like spread apart throughout New Jersey because Vicky and I both work in retail and the service industry. So realistically, we have to go to work immediately the next day. So traveling far is kind of out of the question because we have to get up and go to work the next day. So I kind of take pride on Thanksgiving Day of preparing, the turkey, the stuffing, the mashed potatoes, all that good stuff myself. So while I'm doing all that, we have these movies playing so we could just sit there and watch all this stuff while we're doing that. Because realistically, a lot of the time is spent sitting waiting for stuff to cook. And I know a lot of people are spending time with family, watching football and all that, but we tend to watch all these movies during this time, which is always a lot of fun for us. So without further ado, let's get into the movies we're going to be watching this Thanksgiving. The first one I always start out with is Blood Rage, aka Slasher. This is like a Thanksgiving horror classic. It involves two twin brothers, and one of the twins is a homicidal maniac who is killing someone at a drive-in in the beginning of the film, and the wrong brother gets locked up in a psych ward for 10 years, and when the good brother escapes Thanksgiving Day, the homicidal twin starts going off on a rampage and slaughtering people in this community. It is great, gory fun. The mother is a wine-drinking psychopath, and it is just filled with lots of awesome blood and guts and great gore gags. And the fact that it takes place on Thanksgiving is why we watch it on Thanksgiving. I always start with this one because this to me is the best Thanksgiving horror movie, and I've always had a real soft spot for it. So yeah, Blood Rage.
It's not cranberry sauce.
And then we tend to lighten the mood up with Son-in-Law. This to me is Pauly Shore's best movie. Encino Man's great, but Pauly Shore is the main character in this one. It's essentially a coming-of-age story, finding yourself in college. It involves Carla Gugino, who you'll know from all Mike Flanagan's movies these days, going to college and befriending Pauly Shore, the resident RA, who's just a wacky, kooky, out there kind of guy. She brings him home for Thanksgiving and pretends he's her boyfriend, and it's just hilarious to me, and just a great heartfelt story of this wacky, just quirky character coming to a country bumpkin town and learning how to make the farm life work for him. And it's just cute and great. And Vicky and I had met Pauly Shore a few years back, and he's not exactly the character you've come to know and love. I'll just leave it at that. But I've always had a soft spot for this movie. It's just a boatload of fun, and the fact that it takes place on Thanksgiving break is why we watch it. How come these don't have a great edition yet? You know what I mean? Where are the Blu-rays at least of these movies? Son-in-Law is a must-watch for us every Thanksgiving, and it's not going to be any different this year.
Don't leave me hanging!
And then later on, we turn on You're Next. Now, this isn't necessarily a Thanksgiving movie. I think it's more of a family gathering to celebrate the parents' anniversary or something like that. So they're gathering around, having a dinner together in this wooded property that they have, these rich folks. But this always kind of feels Thanksgiving-y to me. And I've always really, really enjoyed it. It's a newer age kind of home invasion slasher movie that I've found great joy in. I remember seeing it in the theater and being surprised at how great it was. And Adam Wingard, he's done some great work in the genre. The Guest, this, and now he's making Godzilla vs. Kong. But the gore gags in this are amazing. The soundtrack's great. You get Barbara Crampton in here, Larry Fassenden. It's just awesome. And the masks are silly, and you get to see Ty West get a fucking arrow through the head in this movie. And I always really liked movies with a strong female protagonist. The reveal at the end of this movie is top notch. But the reason we watch it for Thanksgiving is because it feels when they're sitting down at dinner that it's almost Thanksgiving-esque. So we always watch it around this time of year. And for the first time, we get to watch Eli Roth's Thanksgiving this year. If you want our deep thoughts on this movie, you can watch our review. I'll leave a link for it down in the description below. It is a great slasher that almost feels at home in like the late 90s, 2000s era kind of slashers. It's almost like I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream, Urban Legend kind of vibes. But this, of course, was the movie about a Black Friday early shopping spree that goes awry, and then like a year later, a killer is seeking his revenge for all the mishaps that happened that night. It is just a great Thanksgiving slasher movie. I mean, you get the guy dressed up as a pilgrim, for fuck's sake. It was just great fun, and I couldn't believe how great a job Eli Roth did at like recreating that like early 2000s slasher vibe. Granted, it wasn't exactly what he promised in the Thanksgiving teaser trailer during the Grindhouse movie, but I'll be damned if it wasn't a great movie altogether. Probably one of Eli Roth's best, in my opinion, and I'm so happy to finally be able to add this to our watch list on actual Thanksgiving Day. Realistically, that's all we're going to watch on Thanksgiving. I know a lot of people are going to tune into Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. I never really had a soft spot for that movie. I never really got into it. I know. Don't kill me. I just didn't really ever care for that movie, so I don't really tend to watch it. I know there's a movie called Pilgrim. I never saw it, but I imagine it's kind of got like a Thanksgiving vibe to it. So there's always that. There's also Home Sweet Home from the early 80s, and much like Blood Rage, this one involves an escaped mental patient going and trying to slaughter a family on Thanksgiving. This one hasn't seen the light of day since VHS, I don't think. I've always been on the hunt for at least a DVD rip of it, but I can never find one. So if anyone has a line on it, please do let me know so I can pick it up. It's not very good. There's a movie, Kristy, involving a girl that's like alone on Thanksgiving night getting stalked. That's like kind of like a horror thriller that you could watch. There's also those Thankskilling movies that are almost trauma-esque, where like a mutant deranged turkey is going around killing college students on Thanksgiving break. Those are a little too cheesy for my taste. I never really got into them. And a few years back, I was doing this like horror showcase at my job where I'd play 2 horror movies. And on Thanksgiving one year, I showed Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Realistically, you could say that like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies in general, all of them have like a kind of like dinner vibe. But I always like kind of leaned more towards TCM 2 because there's that scene in their like lair, their dungeon-esque lair where they're gathered around a table. So I played this with Blood Rage at my screening one time. So I guess you could consider this kind of Thanksgiving-esque. But in the same regard, you could kind of also watch maybe like Blood Diner or something. So it's not really Thanksgiving-y, but if you wanted to, I'd say Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 does technically fall into that vibe. And in years past, I've also watched Troma's Poultrygeist. And yes, I know it is more geared towards like a Kentucky Fried Chicken type place, and I have watched it for Thanksgiving just because of like the, you know, poultry aspect about it. As I've gotten older, I've found that like the Troma movies have gotten a little hokey, a little slapsticky for my taste as I've gotten older, but I do still kind of like Poultrygeist, but I have no desire to watch this on Thanksgiving anymore. But in years past, I have watched it. So if you're looking for something to watch on Thanksgiving, this is one to consider. Alright guys, so that is our watch list for this Thanksgiving. Do let me know in the comments down below if there's anything I missed that maybe I should be watching, or if there's stuff that you guys will be watching that, like, hell, I didn't even mention here, or are you guys more of the quintessential going down, hanging out with family, taking it easy, watching football types? Totally understandable. And thank you guys once again for always tuning into our silly videos. Even if this one is just kind of like a off-the-cuff kind of recommendation style video, I kind of get a kick out of watching these, especially like watching other like YouTube people give their recommendations. I enjoy watching them, so I hope you enjoyed watching this one as well. And I will see you at the next video. Adios.